If we have a 9 by 12 piece of paper and we want to put two 5 by 7 rectangles on there, it's going to help to do a little math. I'll do this in pen. So our width, when it's oriented like this, is 12 inches. If we want a 5-inch wide and 5-inch wide rectangle, then obviously 5 plus 5 is 10. 12 minus 10 is 2. But if we want a border around everything, we need to make this kind of equal. So I think what I'll do is do 1 inch and then 1/2 inch on each side. Similarly, if I'm looking at my height and I want 9 inches total, but I know that my image is 7 inches tall, 9 minus 7 is going to give me 2 inches, which means I have 1 inch on the bottom, and 1 inch on the bottom, and 1 inch on the top. So, no, it does go here. Never mind my chicken scratch. So this is what I'm going to start to do. I'm going to make a template. So I'll do 2 rectangles of 5-inch by 7-inch on a 9-inch by 12-inch paper. And I'll use this as my guideline. The way that starts is line up my ruler along the bottom here, give my camera something to focus on. I will come in by 1/2 of an inch. I will come over by 5 inches, so that's 1/2 an inch. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will leave 1 inch, so go to from 5.5 to 6.5 and put a mark. And then I will come over 5 more inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I will put a mark, and that should leave me with 1/2 inch over here. So I do the same thing on the top. I will come in by 1/2 of an inch, come over by 5 inches, come over by 1 inch, come over by 5 inches. So now once I've done that, I have a series of what should be parallel lines that will be the 7-inch long sides of my rectangles. Just because it's a little bit easier, I'm going to rotate my paper. I am going to line my ruler up, not just with the edge of my piece of paper, but also with that first set of marks that I put on here, so that I can kind of just connect the dots between the two places where I see pen. Get rid of that. And what I figured out is on that 7-inch side, what I want to do is come in by 1 inch on the top and the bottom, which makes sense because the distance from 1 inch to 8 inches is 7 inches. So I will put a mark at 1 inch. I will put a mark at 8 inches. And I'm going to connect between those two because I have my initial marks on there made. So here we go. I have a 7-inch long side to my piece of paper. And what I need to start doing is doing the same thing on these 4. Then I can come back and I can use these marks right here and here across in order to create the 5-inch widths of my piece of paper. So again, the 0 of my ruler is along the left-hand side of the piece of paper. I'll come in by 1 inch. I'll come in by 1 inch on the other side. I'm going to connect those two spaces. So this gives me 4 7-inch long parallel lines, and now you can see I have these marks across here, and I can just line my ruler up from one side to the other. Again, spacing my fingers out so that my ruler doesn't move, but I can draw the bottom of each one of my boxes, right? And then come up here towards the top and do the same thing there. And this is how I can maximize my space in here. I can get a border all the way around, and I can have a nice defined edge. Now, for yours, put this in here just to keep it in focus, maybe. For yours, I would suggest doing this all in pencil. It doesn't really matter if some of these marks show up out here, because eventually those would either get covered up if this ends up getting framed, or what happens is you just erase it if it really bothers you. We're only concerned with what is inside of this 5x7 rectangle, but that way, again, we can maximize the space. If you wanted to go on a larger piece of paper, let's get that into focus. This is a 12 by 18 inch piece of newsprint. If we bring our demo paper over here, we can see that we could fit 2 of those on here. The orientation would be slightly different, but the principles are all basically the same in terms of mathematically how to figure out centering these and giving space all the way around. And as always, don't forget to have some fun.